Hello everyone, I'm J.H. Chandran. In this episode of Beebles Explain, we are going to see about BitTorrent Protocol. Nothing big, we are just going to see how torrent downloads work as simple as possible. So let's get started. To explain BitTorrent Protocol in a nutshell, it is just sharing files in a network of sources. For example, X is my poor friend forgot to bring his lunch to school from his home. Sadly, the canteen is also absent that day. So my friends and I decided to share some of our food with him. Thus, X has eaten and we are also satisfied with what we ate. Similar to this, BitTorrent is sharing a single file from multiple sources. To give it an even closer look, we shall take an example of three friends, A, B and C. They all wanted to download a file of size 120 MB that is with one of their friend D. In this example, let's consider all of them are having a network connection of 3 MB per minute for upload and download. Here, what they can do is D uploading the file to each of them separately. In that way, it takes 40 minutes to transfer to one person. That is a total of 2 hours for sharing with 3 persons. Or he can transfer the whole file to all at once. It will be 1 MB per minute for each person. So this approach also takes 2 hours. And now we shall take a look at the usage of data. D is uploading the data repeatedly. That is, D uploads a file 3 times, which costs around 360 MB for D and 120 for each of the 3. This is not equal among all of them. And that's a huge data for D to send a 120 MB file. So he decided to go with another approach. D divided the file into 4 parts. Then he sent each of them one part and kept the last part with himself. That is, now A, B and C have one part of the total file. And it took only 30 minutes. The data that cost for D is 90 MBs, and now D asks 3 of them to share the parts that they have among them, and meanwhile D will send the 4th part to all of them. In that way, all 3 are working at their full speed. That is, A receiving part 2, part 3 and part 4 from B, C and D, and he is also sharing part 1 to B and C. Now let's take a look at the time. It took only 30 minutes for each phase and a total of 1 hour for the total transference. And the data consumption is also shared equally among all of them. That is, each has to spend only 180 MBs. This is exactly what happening in BitTorrent. The first approach is traditional client-server architecture, whereas the second approach is known as peer-to-peer architecture. In a client-server architecture, the user has to request a file, then the server will return the data to the user. But in P2P architecture, the user has to request a file, but a network of computers returns the data to the user at a maximum possible speed. After some time, the user will also contribute to the community by sharing pieces of data that he has. It is always good to share things, right? Now you may get some questions about the P2P architecture. First, how do I connect with a network? The answer is the .torrent file. It is the key for you to connect with the network. It has some of the metadata about the file and lets you connect with the network. Then what would happen if I quit the session as soon as my download finishes? You are called a leecher. It means the one who poorly sends the data to the network by reducing the upload speed or quitting the session once its download has finished. If this happens, someone else may have the same data as you had and they will contribute to the network. But if not, no one else can download this data without you. But there are some good and bad with BitTorrent. First, speed. When you download with BitTorrent, it makes the download cumulative. Thus, the download rate is very high, and it makes both download and upload happen at the same time with the maximum possible speed. Hence, it causes some bandwidth loss for everyone in the network. If one seeder fails to send data, it is redundant, so you can receive files from another seeder. But if all the seeders become leechers, no transferring of data will happen. Then, privacy. Absolutely, there is no privacy in sharing things. So if you are the one with more privacy issues, this one's not for you. Then it is less secure because you are receiving files from someone you don't know. So the file may contain any viruses or trojans. Then it has no central servers. That is why it is impossible to block many pirating websites. And finally, it is free and has no subscriptions. You can download whatever you want at maximum speed with no file size issues. And I hope you liked and learned something from this video. If yes, let me know it by your likes and comments. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for liking. Bye.